And welcome to the first Hotspurs live of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, actually, we've been live for once. It's two things, and we can to discuss everything that happened. I have three amazing guests. We start at the top with Luke. Luke, how are you today?
Yeah, no, I'm really, really good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on for the first show of the season. And yeah, what better way to come on your channel and celebrate what happened yesterday. So thank you very much for having me on.
No worries. Thanks for joining me. We also have Tans. Tans, how are you today?
Absolutely buzzing. I've got my Lamborghini in a plastic cup. Don't ask me why it's in a plastic cup. Honestly, it's time to celebrate. There's no Tans rants today. It's all positive vibes. So yeah, thanks for having me on hold. It's always a pleasure to come on.
No worries. I mean, I would love a Tans rant now and again, but it's nice to have my ears free of them today.
Yeah, not today.
And also with me, we have Formz. Formz, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm buzzing. I'm praying that this is like the start of a big momentum build from Nuno and his team. But yeah, no, thank you very much for having me on.
No, it's good. It's good to have you. Formz, if you've got any headphones at all, could you whip them in if that's all right? Just because there's loads of feedback. If you've got any.
Yeah, one second.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
I thought it was me, actually. I did hear it. I was like, oh.
Sorry.
That's all right. See, the perks of being late, Formz. Come on, mate. Chop, chop.
Yeah. Oh. Wow, this is suspense, isn't it? Hang on.
And I feel like we need some like little music in the background. You know when you're like waiting in the lift, that music, like
I need some of that, man. There we go. He's in. He's in.
Hang on. Oh. But I can't hear you through the headphones.
Oh no.
Damn.
Hold on, we'll get there.
Terrible.
I mean, while Formz sorts out, we've got Albert in the house. Welcome, Albert. I love it, man. Welcome, Albert. Cheers for that. I'm just saying, you lost 2-0 to Brentford, so I'd hush, son.
We can't talk too much, can we?
But no, right. We'll come to Luke first while Formz sorts out his audio. Luke, obviously, it was an amazing game. It was 1-0. What do you make of that incredible goal from Sonny? We're just going to go in there straight away, head first.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I don't think in the first half he took his chances, really, to be honest. He had a few times when he was through on goal or at least one-on-one with Nathan Ake and really didn't make the most of it, in my opinion. Came back a couple of times, but in the second half, obviously, he was pushed on to, try and go for goal at least. And he did say after the game that it was a lucky goal. And I think he said the same against Burnley when he scored that incredible goal where he ran from our own box. So you can never trust what Son says. He's always, a little bit modest, isn't he? But yeah, just an incredible goal. That's the thing that surely City should have worked on, because that's classic Heung-min Son, cut in and try and bend the ball into the far corner. But it was a brilliant goal and a brilliant performance from every single Spurs player, to be quite honest.
It was phenomenal. And I think that's the thing we've been missing. We've lost a lot of passion, I think, in this team. And yesterday there was fight all across the park. So Tans, I come to you. Obviously, we've got this massive talk about Harry Kane, and I've seen someone ask in the chat already about, did you guys miss Kane yesterday? Now, I kind of want to put a spin on it. Obviously, people are calling for Sonny to be the next striker. But even that goal yesterday came from a wide position and he cut in, and he wasn't in a central position to start with. So that being said, Tans, do you think we need Sonny as a striker, or would you still like someone new to come in if Kane does decide to leave?
No, I think we do still need a striker because there were moments in that game where we lacked that vocal point. I don't think that's Son's game. I think Son could be a bit isolated, especially when we're hoofing balls over the top. That's not Son. So I do think we still need to look towards getting a striker because, you know, as much as I love Son, I just don't think it's enough because I was even thinking, like, there was a moment where he was on the floor. I was thinking, oh my God, like, we're going to have that same thing we have with Kane. When Kane's on the floor, we're like, what are we going to do when Kane gets injured? So if Son gets injured now, God blimey, I don't know what we're going to do. So we definitely need to get a striker in 100%. But agree with what Luke said. It was a brilliant goal from Son. It was a bit frustrating, though, in the first 15 minutes. Like, I felt he was lacking that clinical edge in the final third, but overall he's our star boy, isn't he? You could just always rely on him in those moments. Most of the time, 8 times out of 10 he's going to score. But yeah, I don't know if we can say that we do better without Harry Kane, but you know, we didn't miss him yesterday, which is
it's always the case. It's always the case with us in the first 15. We just take so long. I think regardless of the manager, regardless of the 11 on the pitch, we take so long to get into games. But yesterday I guess we held our own.
We did, and that's the thing. Like you guys said, I mean, obviously I kind of missed the first 20 minutes because I was on the way back from football myself, but I think they were the hairiest 20 minutes of the whole game. So luckily I managed to leave that because I think I would have gone grey again if I watched that. But nevertheless, I mean, obviously we've spoken about Sonny and his goal was phenomenal. But Formz, I ask you, another player that I thought really stood out yesterday and tends to get a lot of backlash from Spurs fans now and again is Lucas Moura. And I think he played himself off the park yesterday. So Formz, hit it away. What do you make of Lucas Moura?
I think, and I feel like there's like a communal feeling with Spurs fans that this year is the year where Lucas Moura just peaks and has his best season ever. I watched every preseason game and just watched. Obviously, he's got that energy about him and he gives 110% all the time. But I don't know what's different this season. It's like when he's on the ball, there's no one's getting near him. He will make his way past whoever he needs to make his way past, and he's bringing that. I think what is he? He's just turned 29 or something. He's now bringing that extra level of experience in a relatively young side, and he's bringing that confidence. He's bringing that energy, and that's what we need. I really, really think that he's going to be very important to us this year. And I also like the fact that he's obviously a Portuguese speaker. Nuno's a Portuguese speaker. So there's a bit of a connection there as well. I'm very excited for Magic Moura to come to life.
Yes, I love that. I love it.
That is good. And that's the thing. I think obviously what Kevin said here, I mean, Lucas has played better when he's got a bit more freedom. And obviously, I know we're still talking about Kane and I'm getting bored of it now, but it was shown yesterday, wasn't it, Tans? He had a lot more freedom to just kind of do what he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Moura is one of those players though, like sometimes I feel like he's a bit of a headless chicken at times. Like he's just doing a lot of running and I feel like the end product isn't always there. But I feel like what, he was just saying there about Lucas in pre-season, I think he's looked really sharp. I feel like he's playing a lot more with his head up and his work rate. Like no one could question this guy's work rate. Like it's not a Lamella type thing. Like this guy can just run and run and run, press and press and press. And yeah, I thought he was arguably the man of the match yesterday. It was a close call between him and Tanganga, which I know we'll probably get onto him because wow, oh my God.
But yeah, definitely. Go on, Paul.
Sorry, I was going to say in Paris they used to call him the equivalent of the M25 because he used to just run and run and run forever in his circles and just didn't stop. And I think that was probably because PSG had such star men. Who did they have at the time? They had Zlatan and they had that lot. So there was attention that was taken off of Lucas and he didn't really have that much freedom. He was so isolated on the wing. Whereas all right, without Kane, he's got so much more freedom. He can cut in more. He can be a little bit more creative. And I understand that Harry Kane is our star man and has been for years. But at the same time, look, we got to the Champions League final without Kane. We've beaten City however many times we've beaten them without Kane. It's almost as if when Kane plays, the entire structure of the team and all of the plays and everything like that is based around Harry Kane and his ability. And it prevents certain players from shining in the way that they need to shine. 100%. So when Kane doesn't play, you'll see loads more players be a lot more free, be a lot more creative. And I last season, Steven Bergwijn gave me such
God, don't talk
stressed.
about that, guys.
And my sister, every time, she just calls him Steve. She doesn't even want to say his full name. So every time every time she sees him warming up, she goes, "Oh, it's Steve." Yesterday, I don't know what changed, but I think it might have been the lack of Kane and the creativity. But I think a lot of players shone yesterday without Harry Kane there.
The only thing that Bergwijn missed out on yesterday was just, again, his final, final touch, or his shooting boots. Because if he scores that and we go 2-0 up, we see out the last 15-20 minutes pretty easily. But no, I completely agree. One thing on Lucas Moura quickly is I do like him on the right hand side, but I also think he could play in the middle behind the striker if we needed him to. He can play pretty much, across that the two wings and behind the striker. He can play pretty much anywhere. And I think he's had a bad rep in a sense at Spurs, Lucas Moura, because he's never been that bad for us. And he always seems to show a lot of passion for Spurs. He seems to love playing for us. And so I think, it will be really, really good to see him finally kind of, come into his all and really, really shine. Because as you say, at PSG, it was absolutely sensational. When we signed him, just felt like it just feels like we kind of just held him back a little bit. Now it seems like he's got that freedom to be able to just turn the pace on when he needs to, turn a bit of skill if he does, if he wants to. So it's going to be enjoyable to watch, hopefully.
He just needs to be more consistent. That's his biggest issue for me. He just doesn't do it enough.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a lot of players like that, unfortunately, in our team where there's just like these moments. But if he keeps this up, I think it's very hard for him not to start because he's just playing out of his skin right now. So, yeah.
It is interesting. And another person, obviously, you've already said his name, Tanganga. Now, Luke, I come to you because I remember many moons ago, and I said he has to be a centre. That is his natural position. But I hold my hands up. I got it wrong, Luke, because you were correct from day dot that he needs to play right back. Go on, Luke. I'll let you slide.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I just think that he will always struggle to get in as a first choice starting centre back at Spurs.
Very true.
I don't think he is a bad centre back. I just think right now we have an opening for a right back. When he played against Liverpool under Jose Mourinho, he could play on the right. He also, towards the end of the game, had to play on. Had to play on the left. He did both against Mane and Salah pretty well. And even if you guys remember that game last season, he was even bursting down the line trying to get us a goal back in the last kind of 10 minutes. Yeah,
Close.
Exactly. And so, so I just think like for him as a footballer, he needs to make a decision. Where do I want to play? And right now there is a huge opportunity for him to play right back at Spurs. And with performances like yesterday, he was up. Pep Guardiola clearly knew what was going to happen. He put Grealish and Sterling against Tanganga. And from the first minute, I think he was lucky to not get yellow card Tanganga, but he went in with the right attitude. He went in with exactly what he needed to do. And that was put pressure on them and hit them hard early. Yeah. And he frustrated them all game. And I thought it was brilliant.
It was cracking. And that's the thing. And again, he's one of our own. He's one of our lads. The fact that obviously City put that lineup out, and I feel it's something ridiculous, like over 550. And then we've got players that have come through our youth system that are putting them in their back pockets. Like, it's incredible. So, Tanya, obviously saying what Luke said about obviously playing right back, do you think we need to bring a centre back in and keep playing Tanganga right back, or hopefully have a bit more confidence in Doherty and Sergio Aurier? And that made me feel really sick at the mouth saying that.
Girl, honestly, you just ruined that whole sentence there by those two. No, honestly, I want to give Tanganga a chance. I love Tanganga so much. I don't think people understand. I think it's ever since the Spurs documentary, I just love the way he comes across. I feel like he's so mature. He's so strong. And in that game, I think Gary Neville said it after the game, like that was the best one-on-one defending he's actually seen in a while. And the fact that he did that all on his own against the likes of Grealish, who's an absolute terror. I mean, he spent most of the game on the floor, which was really annoying, but it is what it is. And Sterling, and he just held his own. Like, he was just not phased by anything. That's what I love about him. So, yeah, I definitely try him at right back. And I feel like he's a player that, like Luke was saying, he can play in different positions. And I feel like you need that utility player sometimes. I think he's a useful player to have in the squad. It's just unfortunate for him that, he hasn't really cemented a position. But it could be that right back is where he plays in a Spurs shirt. I would love to give him the chance because I'm sorry, I've seen enough of Doherty. I want him out already, to be honest. I don't care if he's got Nuno. And Aurier, he wants to go, so give him a chance.
Yeah.
Well, I had a heart attack yesterday when Doherty was
God.
coming on. And
Yeah,
I thought,
what was up with that?
Well, I thought to myself, like, oh, he's going to go for a 5 at the back, push Tanganga in slightly, and then play Doherty just to kind of solidify that defense. And then Tanganga comes off.
My heart.
You know what I think that was? I think that was probably I have worked with Doherty before at Wolves. I know his potential. Let's give him a bit of confidence and play him against the best team in the country for 10 minutes. It's a massive risk, but then he brought on Christian Romero, who I am so excited about.
God,
I can't even tell you. I posted a TikTok the other day, and it was like, how does it feel to be Arsenal? How does it feel to be small? You sign Ben White, we sign Christian Romero. I'm getting death threats. I'm getting the most disgusting messages on my Instagram. I love it. I'm living for it purely because we spent 50 mil on a proven defender. They spent 50 mil on Ben White. But no,
it's proven yet, Formz. We don't know in the league.
You don't. It doesn't go amiss when you get Serie A Defender of the Year in a league known for its defending. And then you go and win the Copa America with the likes of Messi. Like it's the type, and you look at someone like Fabio Paratici, who obviously worked in Italy for 11 years. He's seen these players. He knows what they're about. So I'm confident. Yes, you're right. He's not proven obviously in the Prem, and it's different gravy. But very, very confident that he's going to come in and just chill it.
And we did see a little cameo of him yesterday. I mean, it wasn't very long. But that being said, you know what? I haven't got a bad word for Dyer or Sanchez yesterday.
Yeah.
That is strange coming from me. Now, I don't want to obviously say...
Am I dreaming? Let me just pitch
well. And I obviously don't want to say it's because of the other players around him, but my word, having Skip and Højbjerg in front of them, I think obviously gave them a lot of confidence. So, Luke, what do you make of those two? I mean, Skippy's our boy again, and Højbjerg's just the Viking. So what have you got to say for their performance and also helping out, obviously, those two in the back line?
Yes, I thought Skip was a little bit overexcited in the first kind of 10 minutes. The way he, fouled Jack Grealish right on the edge of the box.
Oh, yeah.
But Højbjerg was incredible. I do love Højbjerg, but I thought his performance yesterday was better than I've seen him play in a long time. There was a moment where Benjamin Mendy was looking like he was going to play the ball back to the goalkeeper, and Højbjerg just read it, and as he spun around, just won the ball back really high up the pitch. I thought he was brilliant. I thought Skip had a great, start of the season, great first game. You can't expect too much too soon from him. But, I'm just going to go out and say it. Davinson Sanchez was absolutely incredible yesterday. I thought he was
mad.
Immense.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's weird because
he's come back, rejuvenated after the Copa America.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've always quite liked Davinson Sanchez, even though he's a liability. So if I had to get rid of one of them, I'd get rid of Eric Dyer. But only because I've got no reason why I like him. I just...
I get it. You have those players where there's no explanation and they don't have to be the best. You just warm to them. But the thing is with Dyer, name me one time Eric Dyer's had a shocker against City. I don't know what it is about playing Manchester City. Eric Dyer turns up. I get we lost the final. Dyer, alongside Toby, played unbelievably. Obviously, however many years ago it was, he scored that 25-yard goal and brought it back to 1-0, and then we went on to win the game, I think, 4-1. It's just, I've never seen Dyer play bad against City. I love it. Just play him against City and then don't play him for the rest of the season.
Just play City, all the time, please.
Don't get rid of him. I mean, we've got this from Cody. Now, it's really strange. The start of, I think it was halfway through last season, obviously, when Skip was playing for Norwich. Skip was playing in a more forward role, spraying the ball. Now, it was interesting to see that yesterday that was the reversal. I mean, obviously, Højbjerg had a more expansive role in the Euros of him playing further forward. So do you think maybe going forward, Tans, that it's going to be like a rotational basis? Like one's going to push forward while the other one sits? Do you think that's how it's going to work? Or do you think all season Skip's going to sit further deeper? Or do you think it'd be a rotation kind of thing?
No, I think they can rotate. And I feel like Højbjerg and Skip, they just work really well together from what I've seen so far. And, I think other players in the team, like Ndombele, they need to be watching some of these players because Skip, a young kid coming in, it was tough for him in the first 15 minutes or so. I was a bit worried for him. I was thinking, oh God, it could be a long day for him, bless him. But he really proved himself. He was playing out of his skin, as was everybody. And I've been really impressed with him in pre-season. I'm so glad that he's back playing for us. And yeah, I think he complements Højbjerg and he allows Højbjerg to push further forward, which is what that commenter before was saying. So yeah, it's very exciting. I really like Skip and I'm pleased for him.
If that's after one game, imagine what it's going to be like once they've played 30, 40 games together and they understand each other and they can keep swapping. One can go, all right, no, I'm going to stay back, you go, and then vice versa. Because we've seen Skip can pick a pass. Like I don't know if you saw I don't even know who it was. Was it when we played MK Dons? Was it Arsenal? I can't remember who it was.
That little pass.
That pass across, it was stunning. So he's got it in him. So maybe he can stay back if he's got that range and Højbjerg can go forward, or they can swap and Højbjerg's back. I'm speaking my brain right now. My brain's going nuts with ideas.
It seems to me like that Dele Alli is a part of that as well. So all three of them have a much more kind of central holding role, but with the ability to roam forward. So Dele Alli, obviously, his primary target is to get forward in transition to attack. But it seems like, as you say, Højbjerg yesterday was given that and Skip would stay back, or maybe in the future we'll see Højbjerg stay back and Skip go slightly further forward, Dele Alli forward from that. But another mention, I don't know if you might go on to it, Hollie, but I thought Dele Alli had a really good game, compared to what he has been like, last season. I think I read a stat today that he ran the furthest out of any Spurs player yesterday. Nice. So and just seeing him crunch into tackles as well. Like that's the kind of Dele Alli that I want back.
He's a lot bigger now. He's like he hit. Well, obviously he didn't go to the Euros, so he spent literally all summer just fitness and getting big.
So it's all the working hard, isn't it? It's all the working hard. He's back. He's back.
And it is interesting you've brought Dele Alli up as well, because obviously Scott here has put in a good fact that he did travel the most distance. But again, I don't want to be too negative on him because we haven't seen a lot of him in many months at Tottenham. But I think he does need to up his productivity because, again, it wasn't really there, but I'll give him his due. You could see that he wanted to wear that shirt with pride yesterday, and we have been missing and lacking that for a very long time. So, Tan, do you think this is hopefully the turning point for Dele Alli? Will we hopefully see more of him and actually put in a good shift in more and more?
I don't want to be negative Nelly, guys. I really don't. But I don't think Dele's the guy anymore. I just don't. Don't get me wrong. I think yesterday he did work really hard, but I agree with you, Hollie. I just feel like, again, there were times where I feel like he could have been doing a little bit more going forward, maybe. I get frustrated with Ali, and I've seen it a bit in pre-season, the taking too long, slowing the game down, and it's just like I want him to be that player that he was, but I'm not too sure. But Nuno seems to trust him, and he's working hard in training. Heard it all before.
Apparently.
But maybe he is back this time. Maybe he is. He is our player. He's not going anywhere. So I guess we just have to see what happens with him. I don't want him to play badly, of course not. Like if he is back, I'm all for it because back Dele Alli, wow, unplayable. So
but then I saw yesterday he was making a lot more interceptions, in our defensive zone, which
his game's changed.
If you saw him run back, last season, the season before, if he was tracking a runner back, if he got into the kind of defensive third, he would just give up and let them think, the defenders will mop up. I did see him, winning the ball back. Now, it's only one game. I think under Nuno, his game will be slightly different, so it won't be as attacking behind the striker as we've seen him in the past. I think it will be more of a solid 3 with him have the ability to go forward. But I don't know. I'm not.
That could be a problem, though, because last season, a lot of the season, we very much lacked creativity in a lot of areas. But if we're playing Skip and Højbjerg, who aren't obviously players who are gifted as much as others in going forward, and then we've got Ali, whose game's changing and he's dropping a bit deeper, where's that creativity coming from? I know, obviously, we've got the players on the wings, but I'd like to see Lo Celso involved a lot more and just giving him another chance, just running things and seeing what he can do with it.
It is very interesting. That's the thing. I hope that Dele does find his form again because we all know what that wonder kid was like. But again, is it little too late? And there's an interesting quote, I can't find it now, but someone said, but under Jose would be sitting deep. Now, I'm going to throw it out there. Whoever wants to answer it can answer it. But do you think maybe, obviously, I was an advocate for Jose, this, that, and the other, but it's old news now. But do you think, obviously, the way we've been playing under Jose has maybe limited maybe the progression of Dele from where he was? Or do you think he was maybe uninterested even before Jose came in? Throw it out there to anyone who wants to answer it.
It could be a bit of both, but go on, Luke. Sorry, go for it.
So, like, sorry, I'll let you go next. But while it's fresh in my brain, otherwise I'll just forget. I think the downturn of Dele Alli has been his own, meteoric rise to success. Do you know what I mean? Like when he first came, and I remember he scored under Pochettino against Leicester, and a few of my mates and Hotspurs fans are like, "Who is this kid?" Like, obviously everyone watched him against Man United for MK Dons, and then when Spurs signed him, he kind of broke into the scene, and then he scored that incredible goal against Crystal Palace, and he just had all this flair and skill and swagger about him. Then he became this kind of prima donna social media.
Yeah.
I don't know what word to use to describe him, right? But there's a lot of players like that. Jesse Lingard springs to my mind. James Maddison, another person that I see a lot of, with his boohoo clothing range and everything else. It all seems to be about Instagram followers and Instagram lives as opposed to actually doing what is your day job. Do you know what I mean? Like, nothing against social media whatsoever. Like, I'm all over social media, but do what you do first and then do that next. Do you know what I mean? Like that, where he seemed to get the money, the cars, everything else. With that, he kind of got this self-entitled attitude, which is like, I'm Dele Alli, I should be playing every week for Spurs. And then when he wasn't, getting into the sides, always being, said, you've got to try harder and all the rest of it. He just didn't seem interested. And I think that's his own thing. I think over time he will realise that, and that's when we'll see hopefully a different Dele Alli.
I think that's spot on. Like Dele Alli's downfall is Dele Alli. Like, it's his attitude, in my opinion. I question his attitude, and I agree with what Luke's saying. It's almost like the success got to his head a bit. I think he had that brilliant season, and I feel like from then he's just dipped. Like, he's not got back to that. And yeah, it could just be that he's been distracted by other things, like, the Instagram, the Boohoo Man deals. He's got his own clothing brand, doesn't he? I don't know, but I don't want to be like a Graham Souness and blame it all on that. But, I just question where his focus has been. And I think he just needs to get back to focusing on his football, his fitness. But who knows? I say this every season. Dele is going to come back different, and he doesn't. But it might just be the case this season. It might just be the last chance for him, and he gets back to that amazing player that he once was. Fingers crossed.
I think with the biggest difference between Nuno and Jose was that if Jose didn't like what you were doing, he'd shout it at you, and if you still didn't listen, he'd shun you. With Nuno, it's more like if you're doing well, he'll put his arm around you, like Poch did. And I think Dele really strived under Poch because it was like, okay, you're doing well, I'm going to treat you well, we're going to have a really nice working relationship, instead of you're doing really well, oh, you make one mistake, oh no, do one. Like it's gonna. I think there's a very different dressing room demeanor when it comes to Jose Mourinho and every other manager. So I'm hoping that the manager is going to change things. I know obviously we might have said that when Jose came in, the manager's going to change everything, but it's a fact. We've seen it in United, we've seen it in Chelsea more recently than he comes in and he brings this pedigree with him, but he leaves a toxic dressing room behind him. So Nuno, I feel like, is the type of manager that will come in and go, okay, we're a family again, let's do this, and that might help players like Dele strive again, I hope.
And I think obviously when Poch obviously left, I think everybody was a bit distraught in the fact, because they lost that father figure, they got a hard nut in, and I think it kind of, as much as I like Jose's bash attitude, if you're not playing well, you're off, I kind of thrive off that, but it clearly hasn't worked with this group of players. So to see someone like Nuno come in that is that father figure again, who knows, it might reunite the likes of Dele Alli. But it is exciting times, and like Cody said, it's so nice to see everyone smiling for once after being so depressed last season. So it is good times.
I just want to give it a week.
Yeah, give it next week.
But that being said, obviously we've spoken about some of the players, but I think the signing of the season I'm going to say his name so wrong, so I'm just going to call him Don Fabio. Is Don Fabio? Well, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the man was going absolutely nuts
Inject
with his
Crazy.
Honestly,
brother
Steve
Hitchin.
Hitchin looks like a different person. He's
Yeah,
gone
it's
from I
mad.
hate my job to literally being Phil Mitchell on the sidelines, being like cheerleader. Like, oh, it's brilliant.
That's what happens when your job's under threat.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mad.
But
Brilliant though.
we've spoken about the grit on the field, but honestly, I think that man coming in, we've actually got a face, unlike that egg behind me, that actually wants. It seems that he actually wants to be a part of this football club. You know, I mean, I've kept the egghead up there, but regardless, I think the fact that he's come in, obviously, we saw Lamela go. I remember he scored 2 goals yesterday, but I'm ignoring that. We saw Lamela go. It's just fate in it, really.
Different league.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about it. Different league.
Yeah.
Very true, very true. But again, obviously, we've seen Lamela go, who's been at the club for far too long, Deadwood. We've obviously seen Gazzaniga go, which I was a bit about, but we got someone in to replace him with Galini. We've got the new, I always say his name wrong as well, I think it's Brian Hill rather than Gill. I think you pronounce it.
Yeah, Hill. Yeah.
Brian Hill.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I love you. I love that pronunciation next time you say. I'll record you saying it, so just push a button. But that being said, Luke, what do you think an impact this DOF has had on the squad and the football club as a whole?
Well, I think it's just opened up our knowledge of other leagues, you know, which sounds stupid, right? Premier League scouts should be aware of decent players in the Italian, Spanish leagues, etc. But it's that what I've read a lot about him is, you know, he kind of goes after 5 players at once and, you know, works out all the deals and tries to see which one he can get over the line. It's not just working on one player that falls apart. We move on to the next one. You know, all of these players are being contacted all of the time. I just read a thread today about all the deals that we're looking at trying to get done. There's like two or three strikers in there, you know, 2 centre-backs in there. There's loads of players in this list of players that they're going after now. We're not going to sign all of them. What it means is that not only when you go after one player, the clubs, the agents, everybody knows you're after that player. Therefore, the negotiations become a lot harder. Yeah. When you go after multiple people at the same time and say, well, if you don't come or you don't accept the offer that we're willing to put on the table, we've got another option here. We've got another option here. So I really, really like that. Plus, you know, he's tapped into the markets of Italy and Spain, which are all in financial crisis. We talked for Arsenal for a second, who seem to only be going after Premier League players. You know, the prices are skyrocketing because a lot of clubs in the league aren't desperate for cash. You know, places we should be looking into is Barcelona, you know, after they said they're in like 1.5 billion euros worth of debt today.
Mad, isn't it?
And yeah, you know, the way that we got rid of Eric Lamela off the wage bill, but then brought in Brian Hill.
A bit of business, that.
Exactly. So you get not only, I think, anyway, I can't even remember the figure now. I've lost it. But it's a lot of money that we've saved already on wages. Yeah. But then we can then transfer back into other players. So, yeah, it's working really, really well. You know, I want to see the squad at the end of the transfer window and then kind of make a decision on how great Paratici is. But I do like his effort. I do like his passion as well. And that's it. You know, you don't have to love Spurs or be a Spurs fan for your entire life. It's just about going into a job and just showing that that's where you want to be. And it's good to see.
Yeah. It is exciting. And that's the thing what Cody said. Oh, I am this one. Cody said here as well. I think I said this the other day. I think us having this massive crack and it happening, I think has actually done us the world of good on the flip side. Because I don't think we would have even bothered with a DOF. So that being said, Formz, do you think maybe this is, let's say, a blessing in disguise that we've kind of fallen off a cliff, so to say?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like it's got to get worse to get better, kind of thing. And we left it. I think we say it. I mean, it's true though. When we say it, and it's been said time and time again. When Pochettino said, "All right, we need a rebuild now," and then didn't get it. It was only going to go downhill from there. And then it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse. And it could not have got to the point where we do so badly that we're not attracting the right players. We keep the deadwood. We go down and down and down, and then we're in the championship. That was never going to happen. It was always going to be, it's got to get to a point where either the board end up leaving, or if they don't leave, they have to do something about it. And Levy was never going to leave. You can stand there and go ENIC out, Levy out all they want. The club's making them so much money, they're not going to leave. So it's like, okay, let's do something about it. And I think the way they're going about it's very clever. Like you don't, and I love Paratici. I've known about the man for a couple of months, and he's already one of my favorite human beings on the planet. You don't go to being the director of football at a club like Juventus for 11 years and not bring a black book with you. Like the man knows what he's talking about. The man knows his stuff. The man's got connections in the right places.
Yeah.
And he's coming and it looks like he's doing a great job. And Luke, I think you said like a couple of minutes ago, you can't wait to see what it looks like at the end, what we look like at the end of the transfer window. I think we're going to be very surprised at how much money we've actually ended up spending. I think money, I don't know, don't ask me where it's coming from because I don't know.
It's coming from everywhere.
You know something we don't.
I'm seeing we're spending 50 mil on Romero, 25 for Hill. We've got I think 20 million over the line for Tomiyasu, if I pronounce his name right. There's another 25 for another defender. I'm sitting there eating my dinner, looking at this number, these numbers, thinking, where are we getting this from? Like the AJ fight can't be making us that much money. But the point I'm making is I'm glad that it's on its way up because it was never going to get much lower than it was, and we're going to have a very exciting summer. Don't know about the season, but we're going to have a very exciting summer.
Will be very exciting. But first, I just want to quickly go to you, Tans, because I know you got to shoot in a minute. We have got the Conference League on Thursday and Wolves at the weekend. So I just want your quick fire prediction for both, shall we say? Do you reckon Harry Winks is going to feature in that Thursday match?
I mean, I hope he features in that and not in the league. So you can feature in. I forgot about that bloody Conference League. You know what? When Nuno after the game said, "Oh, we've got Portugal on Thursday," I'm thinking, who?
Same.
Like, what?
Same.
I was like, what is he talking about? And then it clicked. I was like, oh crap, we're in that bloody Conference League. I mean, look, for the Conference League, I feel like our intention should be to win it. I don't see why that shouldn't be our intention. Like, we're Tottenham, and I think the teams in that competition. I mean, some of the teams. Who are we playing? Like some of the
FC
teams.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. No excuses, but I think it's a perfect opportunity for the youngsters. So I feel confident that we'll win that game. Wolves, see, this is where I'm getting panicky because I feel like these are the teams that we struggled with last season. Your Wolves, your Crystal Palaces, your Fulhams. These are the teams that we dropped points against last season. So I want us to be, firing, same intensity as we've shown in the City game. Go for it, because I think Wolves are a good side. It's obviously Nuno's old team, but I think we've got more. We're more than capable to beat them. I mean, I saw them against Leicester. They're a decent-ish side, but I think we're more than, as I say, we're more than capable to get the win. So I'm hoping we win, and I'm hoping that the smiles continue. Fingers crossed, because I'll be livid if we don't win that. I'll be absolutely gutted. Because it's kind of like it'll be typical Spurs, wouldn't it? Nuno coming to his old club and they thrash us. That would just be typical, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I think we should win. I'm feeling confident. I'm a changed woman, Hollie. I'm a changed woman. It's just positivity now. Nuno's at the helm.
I hope we have Tanya victory speeches instead of Tanya.
Yeah, do you know what? It might be called the Queen's speeches from now on. Tanya's speech, like.
I like it. But no, thank you, Tanya, for joining us tonight.
It's always a pleasure.
Where are we going to find you next? Go on, plug it.
Right, so I'm on Twitter, @is_here, Tanya_Leona. Catch me on Never a Foul at like 8 o'clock, which is very soon. Views from the Skywalk, Tottenham channel. We're going to be talking about the game as well. So, yeah, catch us on here after Hollie's show. We obviously still want you to be here watching Hollie. So, yeah, thanks for having me on.
No worries,
Take care, Formz and Luke as well. Lovely seeing you.
Good to see you.
too.
See you later. But yeah, let's big up Tanya. I love Tanya. But anyway, let's crack on with those questions that I asked Tanya as well. So, Formz, what are you hoping for obviously Thursday and Sunday?
I mean, we got to cruise through Thursday. I think he'd be silly not to. I understand that it's a knockout game and we were in the playoffs for the Europa League last season and that was dodgy because we had to bring on Kane and so on to save us. But I think it's different because it's the Europa Conference. So it's a level below. I'd be disappointed if we weren't playing the likes of Starlet and that lot. That lot and Harry Winks, the geezer next to you. I feel like it's a game that not many of our first team players need to be playing. We need to be rested for a team like Wolves. Yes, last season they weren't at their best, but their intensity's high. So my predictions, I reckon we'll win. We'll beat the Portuguese team by at least 3. And I'd like to see Galini start in goal. And then Wolves, well, I'm going. So I hope we win. And I'm going for a 2-0. I'm quietly confident. I saw a stat the other day that said 5 of the last 6 times we've played Wolves, the away team has won. So we're the away team. Let's win.
You never know. You never know. I mean, it is interesting as well because there is rumours, Luke, that Kane is in the squad for the Conference League. And More Money says play Kane on Thursday and drop him for Wolves. So I'll go to you, Luke. What do you think? Do you think Kane will feature in that game at all? Or do you think it's still too soon to even dabble with Harry Kane at the moment?
Well, firstly, I want to just talk about something that Kev G said up a bit higher. He basically said to you, Formz, when you're talking about like the money that we spent.
Oh, this one.
And like, yeah, Romero is technically alone this season with a.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Because he can't be registered twice. I didn't look into the full details. He basically can't be registered twice. So financially, it's worked out even better because it's a loan, and then we just buy him next season. I think it's an obligation to buy as opposed to a option to buy, but I might be proven wrong. There's somebody out there that knows more than I do. But what I was interested about, I'm sure this isn't true, but I read about like someone was like, we should play Kane just so. I don't think it actually happens because I think in the different European competitions, it doesn't mean you're tied for the other people. But we should play Kane just so then he can't play if he moves to City in the Champions League.
No, they changed. So they changed that rule a couple of years ago. I remember when it was Coutinho when he signed for Barca in January. If Liverpool, it was the season where Liverpool, I think it was 2018, where they lost to Madrid. If Liverpool won, Coutinho would have still won a Champions League medal because he couldn't play for Barca that season. But I think 29, the year that we made the final, they changed the rule. And if you played for one team in a European competition at the start of the season, you could, if you signed in January, then play for them. So that he, as much as I would love to play him, and then him not have to play for City if he signed for them, that wouldn't be the case.
Sorry, but talking about these games. So yeah, I think it's important the first, because I think it's 2 legs, isn't it? This playoff game. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first leg, we need to give some guys a little, run out. I saw Ryan Sessegnon's playing tonight, so hope that maybe he gets through that unscathed, and we give him a little run out in the Europa Conference League. Yeah, as you said, I'd like to see Scarlett play, Galini in goal, maybe Brian Hill, give him his first start. I'd like to see a few changes, but not too many, because one of the other things, obviously, people talk about lots of games and players can't play that many games in a row, etc. It's nonsense. They can. One thing that's really important is like building on what we've done against City. So it's building those relationships again and those performances. If we start chopping and changing the team every single game, how are we going to get consistency through the team? So yeah, I think we need to win, but it would be nice to maybe start with some first teamers, and then once we go 1-2-0 up, because we'll be away, then just start bringing players off and rotating it.
I think it might be worth playing. Sorry, Hollie. I think it might be worth playing playing the types of players who are starting, like whoever started against City, that aren't necessarily the more confident players, like your Delis and your Steves, because that will give them more of a. Yeah, it just gives them more of a run in and more confidence and gelling with the rest of the team. I get that.
And I think, like you said, with Dele Alli, it's obviously his consistency at the moment. Playing him in this fixture probably would do him the world of good to keep that momentum going, just to get that bit more productivity from him a bit more. But no, it is interesting. I mean, hopefully these smiles stay, because I am actually loving life right now. It's a very strange feeling, but one I want to remain after last season. But I want to thank you both, and obviously Tanya, for joining me tonight. We'll go and do the rounds. So Luke, where can everybody find you? And thanks again for joining me.
That's all right. So you can follow me on Twitter if you like. I don't talk that good stuff, but it's Luke_RATV. Or you can subscribe to our channel. It's Rivalry Aside TV. We've got a Liverpool fan, a Man United fan, an Arsenal fan, West Ham fan, a Leicester fan, I think that's it so far. But we're building every day, and we talk about all different types of football. We have a predictor league that we do every single week where we all predict the scores. You guys can join in as well. It's just a good laugh. We obviously do our selected shows as well. So if you want to catch me talking Spurs, if you enjoyed anything that I said, then you can come over to Rivalry Side TV. That would be great.
No, don't downplay yourself, Luke. Your channel is immense, and you're immense of all the things you say as well. So do not downplay yourself. But thank you again for joining me tonight, Luke. And make sure you go over to Rivalry Aside. Jesus, I can't even get my words out tonight. I'm too excited that we won. But also, Formz, thank you for joining me tonight. Where can they find you doing all your stuff?
Thank you for having me. Where can you find me? Literally type in Formz on every it's inverted. Formz on absolutely everything. Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, the lot. And then socials, just type in Formz and you'll see this beautiful face everywhere.
No, I do appreciate it. You need to check out Formz' stuff, man. I'm still waiting for a rap for an intro for Hollie's Hotspurs Live.
Done. You know what? We'll talk as soon as this is finished. We'll talk about it and I'll make one for you.
Sound. I like, as long as Winks is in there somewhere, it's all Gucci, you know.
Done.
And like Chris said, I'm not on the gin just yet because I'm actually happy. I only drink gin when I'm depressed from my loss. But Chris, like I always say, that is an excellent surname. But thank you once again to everyone else in the chat as well. Like I say, Hollie's Hotspurs Live is a bit different. I can't get all your comments up because I literally can't multitask. But thanks again for all of you joining in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Go follow these lot. And until next time, hopefully we'll be talking about another win because I've actually enjoyed tonight. But thanks again, and come on, you Spurs.